extraterrestrial in nature, we realize that the information that we ought to share with each and every one of you should be of such a nature so that you can adapt it into your terrestrial lives. As such, allow me to indicate that this interaction will have two parts to it. The first part shall deal with some of the ideas of what you call us extraterrestrials, to answer a few questions that many of you have been asking about our different species. The second part shall deal specifically with many of the ideas and desires that each and every one of you have expressed with regard to attaining success in the endeavors in your life, to know that you can create this success in very specific, very clear ways without a lot of struggle, without a lot of strife, with clear consciousness, very, very simply. Therefore, the second portion of this interaction shall have a title, and you may give this title to the entire tape, even though the first portion we will be discussing a little bit about ourselves. The title you may use is 135, the No Risk Formula. Now, allow us to begin, first of all, with the idea of extraterrestrial consciousness. Most of you will understand there's really nothing mysterious about this. There is life throughout the universe, and it takes many different forms of expression. But the one basic common idea is that we are expressions of the all values, the one consciousness of creation, just as you are yourself. Each and every being, no matter what form physiologically it may take, is another mirror, another facet of the idea of the universal consciousness expressing itself in every possible way that it can. We have discussed this concept with many of you many times, and I will not belabor the point at this particular exchange. Suffice it to say, each and every one of you as a unique reflection, as a unique expression of the infinite, also contains the whole infinite. You are holographic, if you will, in nature. The part contains all the information of the whole. Each part contains the whole. You have the ability to express your part and your wholeness in whatever way, shape, or form you deem to be the most exciting expression you could manifest, because that is your purpose, that is your mission, that is your legacy, to live up to your full potential as the particular expression you are being in this lifetime. Many individuals, as we have discussed, say, oh, I am searching for my purpose in life, I am searching for my meaning, why am I here, what am I doing? The idea, as we have stressed before many times, is to follow the thing that excites you the most, acting on it with integrity, because that excitement, that vibration you call excitement, is the answer to your prayers, is the indicator that lets you know that this thing that excites you more than anything else is the path that you are here to perform. Therefore, it is unerring. It is always easy to find, because it is the thing that fills you with the most joy. And if you follow it and act on it with absolute faith and absolute trust, you will unfold the purpose of your chosen lifetime, this particular expression, this particular lifetime. You will not fail in that sense. Now, we will discuss this a little bit in more detail from a new point of view in the second part of this exchange. But first of all, let us talk about extraterrestrials, as you call us. Once again, the idea is that there are many forums. Now, there was on your videotape a question that was posed. Many of your scientists are listening for radio signals from extraterrestrial, yet they have not really heard any. Well, why not? Well, that is very easy to answer. We do not use radio are long past their radio history. No longer do they give off radio wave signals from their planet for you to pick up. The civilizations that are, let's say, relatively close to your civilization that are still using radio have not been using radio long enough for the radio signals to have reached you yet and will not reach you for quite some time. Your civilization is on the verge of not using radio anymore. The idea also is that there are many forms of electromagnetic communication that can be done in what you would call tight band communication. In other words, the form of communication that is laser-like and does not leak into space for other civilizations to pick up. So you are on the verge, as a technological civilization, also of dispensing with radio waves. And therefore you, as a planet, will also be radio silent for the most part. In the very near future, perhaps within what you may term the next decade or two at the most. Therefore, understand that your communication with extraterrestrial societies will more often than not take the form that you see before you now. The idea of direct mind-to-mind communication. For our civilizations have learned that the physical form, what you call the human body, what we perhaps call the exosomy body, what some other civilization will refer to as their own style of body, all have the capability of acting as biological transceivers. And it is a much, much, much more direct form of communication that contains a greater ability of expression than a simple modulation of electromagnetic waves. The idea is that, yes, it does take a little bit of time to train the receiver, to train the sender, but once the training is done, once the sender and the receiver are synchronized in their wavelengths, once they are sensitized to each other, then communication can occur on a multitude of levels. Do understand that the communication you are receiving through the physical channel before you now is taking place on many more levels other than just visually, auditorily. There is energy being sent to you that is going through the channel into you. You are receiving conversation, communication on many different levels of your consciousness. Sometimes this communication on these levels, sub and unconscious as you call them, will be embedded in your consciousness and only blossom later, perhaps when you relax in sleep, in your dream state, or perhaps when your mind is wandering elsewhere, suddenly you will snap and remember a certain portion of the information that we are discussing that you did not hear with your ears nor see with your eyes. There are, aside from the vocalizations that we are able to create through the channel, also the gestures that you will see the channel's body going through. This is indicative of another form of conversation, another level of the conversation going on that you are picking up, as you would say, subliminally. And it is saying sometimes the same thing and sometimes many different things that you yourself will not realize until you release that information on the appropriate level at the appropriate time. But realize again that the emotionality this way can come through. I am not speaking your language. I do not even speak my own language anymore, as our society is now mostly telepathic. I do understand our language as an ancient language, as a remnant language, and a few words of it can be spoken from time to time through the channel because it is the language that I know. But I do not speak your English. I do not speak any other language. What is simply happening is that my mind, my thoughts, my consciousness, my frequency is now synchronized with the thoughts and the mind and the consciousness and the frequency of the channel before you, and you are receiving a translation of my thoughts. The channel is now acting much in the same way as your radio, as your telephone. You understand, as has been discussed, as has been described, that the voice you hear on your telephone is not actually, not literally, not directly the voice of the person speaking on the other end. It has been converted into electromagnetic waves and channel, we have synchronized them, therefore the channel is functioning as a model, as a translation device for my consciousness. But it is made out of the channel's energy. I am not actually directly there with you physically, as you understand that terminology. I am conducting a long-distance call through the channel's line. Do not worry, I will not send you the bill. Many individuals have discussed the idea of what you call UFOs. Of course, to us they are IFOs, because we know perfectly well that we are in them and what they are. So we are identified. However, let us simply use the generic terminology of spacecraft, if you wish, saucer, if you wish, or they are disc-shaped. Most of them are anyway. There are a few exceptions, but we will not go into that for now. The idea of spacecraft is simply that it is a resonating chamber, a resonating cavity, so to speak. It is a waveguide. For those of you that understand that terminology in your physical terms, in your physics terms. The idea is that we do not travel per se in the same way you understand space travel. We do not have a form of propulsion per se in the same way that you propel your rockets through space. We have created a vibrational resonance chamber. Everything in the universe is the product of vibration. You are the product of a certain frequency of the primal energy. We are the product of a certain frequency of primal energy, of creative energy. Everything has a signature vibration, if you will, by which it is identifiable. The idea even of space-time, of location itself, can be identified with a frequency. In other words, if you have an object, and it is in location A, it has a certain frequency vibration. If you take that object and move it to location B, it will have almost an identical signature vibration, but almost is the key, for it will vary in one small way. It will have a slightly different locational vibration. Thereby you can identify the idea that this is now a different thing, a completely different object, and that the concept of location is not a place in which the object exists, but it is actually an integral property of the object itself. Different object in B, different object in A. We have, in our technology, as you would call it, created the ability to isolate our spacecraft from any particular universal vibration. While the spacecraft is isolated in that way, while it is at the zero rest point, the center point of all possible universes, all possible locations in space and time, we then infuse that craft with the vibrational signature of the location we wish to go to. Therefore, the craft then, when its energy is overwhelmed by the greater energy of the vibrational harmonic of that location, will immediately, instantaneously, as you say, disappear from location A and simply reconstruct itself at location B. No traveling has occurred. It has, in that sense, slipped through the holographic matrix, redefining itself, re-identifying itself and its crew, hopefully, at the other end. There have been accidents. There have been accidents, as you say. Crew members have not always shown up at the other end. You will encounter this when you finally discover this particular technique. So I would simply say, not to worry you, but simply be cautious, be careful, be thorough. Otherwise, you may find yourself in parts unknown. Understand that this does not in any way, shape, or form violate the idea of traveling faster than light, which in a sense is a barrier for, or I shall say a definition for, the boundary of physical third-dimensional reality. We do not break the barrier of light. We simply avoid the issue altogether by transforming ourselves into a higher dimension little bit of a formula. This will describe the idea that you would call the hull material of a very basic spacecraft. There have been many refinements in many civilizations that have, shall we say, improved upon this formula, but this is a good place for you to start since you are at the beginning of this type of technology. First of all, of course, experiment and explore the whole idea of vibrational tonality, and that will give you your navigational system. But in terms of actually generating an experimental substance that you can play with for a while and see what kind of properties you can coax from it, I give you this particular combination of elements, as you call them. Magnesium, 62.2%. Nickel, 12%. Copper, 9%. Aluminum, 8.5%. Silicon, 4.5%. The remainder is made up of what you would call argon at 3.8%. The idea is to form within an argon atmosphere a melted matrix of silicon into which you then infuse the powdered form of all the other elements I mentioned in their proper ratios, creating not an alloy, but a matrix embedded in the silicon substance, allow it to cool. The correct amount of argon will inject itself simply by being present in the atmosphere in which you have melted, shall we say, or liquefied the silicon. Have fun with that. And great joy in your discoveries. Now, allow us to proceed on for now to the idea of 135, the no-risk formula. You may want to hang on to your notepads, because we understand that in your time frame there is not much to the idea of 135, the no-risk formula. You may want to hang on to your notepads, because we understand that in your time frame there is not much time. I will proceed through this relatively rapidly. However, understand this. What we are about to share, again, from our perspective, can work for you. It is up to you and your imagination to adapt and alter this information in whatever way, shape, or form your imagination deems fit, because only you are your best teacher, not me. I cannot live your life. I cannot run your life. I have my own life. Thank you very much. But I can suggest ideas that have worked for us. I can be relatively specific and relatively certain that the tools I am about to share will create changes in your life that are positive, that are rapid, where you will get an immediate effect, but it will vary from person to person. But you will see great changes nonetheless if you are even willing to apply these ideas. So pay close attention. 135. The principle of one. First of all, understand, going in, as you say, that you are, in fact, one. That all things are one thing, manifesting itself in all the ways it possibly can. Everyone, everything, every place you look at is you in another form, you in another idea, in another expression, in another reflection. Therefore, the principle of one with regard to creating success in your life is to understand that it is not separate from you. Your goal is not separate from you. It is not out there and you are over here, many miles away from your goal. The idea is that it is you. You are it. Therefore, what you are doing is you are not going after the goal. You are not going after the thing that excites you. You are simply in the process of becoming the thing, of knowing that important principle. You cannot experience a reality that you are not the vibration of. Whatever vibration you are is the reality you get. Now, sometimes because of the way you have fragmented your consciousness in your particular dimension of physicality, you can create a reality from a subconscious or unconscious portion of yourself, unknowingly, attracting things you do not consciously desire. This happens because whatever is the strongest belief within you is what is the strongest vibration you give off. And if that belief happens to be a fear, then those are the types of situations you will more likely attract. Because you are saying, in fearing that this might happen, or in fearing that this won't happen, you are saying that that's what you believe is the most likely reality you can attract. And the universe is absolutely going to give you the strongest reflection you give off. Remember, there is only one law in creation. Not 100, not 10, just one. Only one. Just one. Really, only one. It's that simple. One law. What you put out is what you get back. That's all there is to it. Everything else, as you say in your language, is your ballgame. Everything else. What you put out is what you get back. If you don't like what you're getting back, learn what you would be having to believe in order to put that out and get that kind of a reflection. Examine your beliefs. Explore your beliefs. Take them apart. Reassemble them. Redefine them. Put them back together in the way you want them. This is what we are going to talk about in terms of techniques and tools that you can use directly to apply immediately and get a change right now. How to examine those ideas. How to transform your beliefs so you are giving off only the vibration of the reality you want to be. And thereby only getting that reality in return. This is simple mechanics, simple physics. It is no more complicated in principle than this. Although we understand that one of the ways your civilization has chosen to complicate this issue is to believe that it is more complex than it is. Because you have been taught to think in fragments. You have been taught to focus on the details. And therefore, the more details you focus on, the longer something takes. Because if you create more details to look at, you have to create more time to look at them in. When you start understanding the concept you desire as a whole idea, you focus on the whole, all the details automatically fall into place to create that whole and bring it rushing into your reality and your experience. So take the long view. One, the idea is that the long view is right here, right where you are. It is not out there. The long view is the shortest view. That is the paradox. What is out there is actually right here. And that's when you start experiencing magic in your lives. That's the principle of the one. You can apply it by simply knowing it is so. 1, 3, 5. The principle of the three. These are three very strong tools we are about to discuss now. Some of the strongest we can possibly share because they are the most basic and they work for everyone. Many of you have heard the principle of the three before. You will hear it again. The principle of the five, however, in your terminology will be new to you. And will allow the principle of three to be taken to more specific levels. In other words, if you have a very specific project, a very specific goal, the principle of the three will help you create the atmosphere in which that goal, that project, that reality can occur. But the principle of the five will absolutely guarantee that that project, that goal will be created with no risk involved. In fact, the concept of risk does not exist. And the principle of five will show how that is so. But first, the principle of the three. We have discussed this, and I will state it first very simply. See it, feel it, and be it. 1, 2, 3. See it. All right, what does that mean? Well, literally, see it. If you have something you really desire, see it. See it in your mind's eye. See it in your are representative of your goal, of your project, of your desire, of your reality, of who you want to be. Is it a picture of a person? Is it a picture of a place, of a thing, of an idea? If you can't find the picture, draw the picture. Look at it. See it. Visualize it. Very, very important. You are visual beings. You operate almost exclusively visually to receive your information. Visualize it. Create the information. See it. Feel it. Be it. Feel it. What do I mean? Feel it. Well, all right. If you see something in your imagination that is supposed to be a representation of what you say would be the most exciting thing you could do or be, I would think that when you see it, you're going to get excited. You're going to feel it. So in other words, when you see it, I would assume you're not going to be sitting there going, oh yes, I see it. Well, that's very nice. That's very interesting. Yes, well, I see this and I see that. Well, so what? The idea is to become involved in it, to connect your emotionality, your senses to it. You are physical beings. Your spirituality will depend upon you integrating your physical senses together, not denying them. The idea is to taste that vision, to smell it, to hear it, to feel it. Really get involved in it. If you were in that situation you are seeing in your imagination, how would you feel? What would you be tasting? What would you be smelling? How would you be touching things? Feel the tactile sensations. Get involved. Plug all of your sensory equipment into it. Get excited about it so you can feel your heart speeding up. Because it is. What you are seeing is real. Is real. A little secret. Your imagination is real. There is nothing you cannot imagine that is not real. All things are real. If you can conceive of them, they exist. You cannot conceive of non-existence. Anything you can conceive of is a reality. Now granted, some of them are more, shall we say, manifestable in your dimension, perhaps, and in other dimensions, perhaps. Perhaps if you really desired to be 10 feet tall with 5 arms and blue, maybe you could do it. But if you know deep down that particular type of manifestation really has no, shall we say, practical application in your dimension of experience, then you may take a while to manifest that. However, anything you can conceive of that directly links, is a direct offshoot, a direct manifestation of the creativity of your dimension, can be done. What excites you the most excites you because it can be done. For everyone who wishes to perform or be a certain type of person, there is a stage on which to perform and an audience and a reality to support that idea. The universe does not do things that are, in your terms, illogical. It does not create someone with a great desire to be a certain thing and provide absolutely no means for that person to express itself. Creation is not monopolar in that way. Always, if you have a great desire, then there is always the ability to manifest it. Always, 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 and it is always very easy. If you see it, and then feel what it would be like to be that reality. Now, see it, feel it, be it. Now, what do I mean, be it? Well, yes, it would be nice to be that reality, but I'm not that reality yet, you may say. Here's what we are saying. Because you are physical beings, physical reality holds much meaning for you. Physical acts, physical actions hold much meaning for you. And this is one of the strongest things you can do to manifest the reality you desire. After you have seen it and after you have felt it, to act it out. To act like that reality already exists. Body language. How do you act? Do you say, well, yes, I would like to be a very successful person. Yes, I would like to be the president of a multi-million-dollar corporation. Well, yes, I see it. Well, yes, I feel it. But here I am sitting here like this. I'm not acting like it. This is not the president of a multi-million-dollar corporation. This is the president of a multi-million-dollar corporation. Do you understand the difference? The idea is to train your physical form to behave in the the manner of what you see and what you feel. To surround yourself literally, I cannot possibly repeat this enough. This is very important. To surround yourself literally with as many of the props and atmospheres and situations and circumstances that are representative of the reality you desire to be as you can. In other words, if you want to be that president of the multi-billion-dollar corporation, find some office somewhere that you can sneak into or rent or borrow or steal, well, don't steal it, or buy, use integrity. Get into that situation. Sit down at that desk. Look out the expansive windows over the entire world. See what that feels like. Be that person. Understand that if you are this president of this corporation, you're going to move in a certain way. You're going to reach for certain things at a certain distance. You're going to train your body how to act like that person. The idea that many of you have expressed, I want to be very abundant, I want to be very rich. Nothing wrong with that. A footnote, however, understand, abundance is not always money. Can be, but it isn't always money. Abundance is simply the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. Sometimes money will take the longest path. If you allow abundance to come into your life in whatever form it can, then it may happen sooner because it can happen in many other ways besides money. But if money is the way, it will be there. It will be automatic, or an opportunity will present itself for you to make the money. However, back to the original idea, if the idea of abundance is exciting, then allow yourself to act like an abundant person. A person who is abundant does not go around clipping out little 3-cent coupons to save here and there. The action itself is saying volumes to your body consciousness. Yes, yes, I am an abundant person, but who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? I might lose everything, I don't know, but yes, yes, I am an abundant person. You don't look like it, therefore that's not the reality you're going to get. The universe is not going to support you in the idea of being abundant if you're not giving off the signals of abundance. And the signal of abundance is that you already contain it all. Remember that this is a win-win, as you say, situation. No one has to lose, so you can have it all. Everyone can have it all. That's the benefit of a multi-dimensional, simultaneous universe. You are each your own reality, and in your own reality, you can have it all. And it will take nothing, not one tiny atom away from anyone else's reality, because you are the whole universe, and you are the whole universe, and you are the whole universe simultaneously. That is the beauty of the holographic nature of creation. You can all have it all without anyone losing. 1, 2, 3. The idea. See it. Feel it. And be it. Act like it. Act it out. And I really mean act it out if you possibly can. Then, slowly, the props that you might have set up for yourself, that you are training your body with, slowly or quickly, depending on you, they will be replaced by the real things. Because when your body says it's ready to receive those real things, because now it's in the habit of handling that much abundance and that much joy and that much ecstasy, and knows that it deserves, big issue, deserves to have that much ecstasy, nothing will keep it from you. The universe in that sense, the reality that you have created, does not have a mind of its own. It does not say, well, I think I will mess with this person's mind and not give them everything they deserve. I will keep it from them. It doesn't do that. It cannot do that. It has no power to do that. You have the power. So act it out. Be that person. Walk, talk, act like that person you say you want to be. The sooner you are that person in your action, the sooner you will have the reality that only that person can have. That is the 3. So 1, 3, 5. What is the 5? 5. 5 is the 5 steps of the no-risk formula. When each and every one of the 5 portions are in place, Because your whole society is based on the idea and the concept of loss and risk and all taking a big gamble. The only gamble is when these 5 elements are not in place. But when they are, nothing can stop your idea, your reality, your project from occurring. Number 1 of the 5. Vision. If you have a vision, this is what we have been discussing in the 3 see it, feel it, be it. In other words, if you have a vision and you're seeing it, feeling it, and being it, then you have the complete idea of number 1, having a vision, a goal, a picture, an idea, a concept. That is the first element. An expression of your excitement, in other words. What is it that you want to do with that excitement you feel? What is it that does excite you so much? What is that vision? That's number 1. If you have the vision, you have number 1. Clear vision. Number 2, timing. Timing. Be aware, be sensitive to the timing of everything and what is going on around you in your reality, what other realities are doing. But at the same time, understand this. When you are excited about something, that in and of itself is a signal that on some level, in some form, the timing is correct, or you would not have conceived, or you would not be being excited by that thing. But timing is a key. Be aware that there may be many things you need to learn to accomplish your vision. Learn the timing of your vision. Sense the timing of its place in your society. And work accordingly. Do not be impatient. All the things you learn in life, if you are following the path that excites you the most, all the things you learn in life apply to that idea, to that goal, to that vision. There is nothing extraneous, no wrong turns. If you act with trust and faith, the timing will always work out perfectly. You have a saying on your own planet, and we believe it is a profound truth. Nothing is more powerful than an idea when its time has come. Timing is number 2 of the 5. Number 3, knowledge. Educate yourself to the things that are representative of your vision, to the elements that go into the style of your world, the vernacular, the tools, the type of talk, the type of walk, the knowledge of what that vision represents, the skills that go with it. Educate yourself. Become immersed in that idea. Breathe it in. Breathe it out. Live it day after day. In an excited manner. Not in drudgery. Knowledge that excites you. Knowledge that you are attracted to automatically. Knowledge. So we have, of the 5, so far, vision, timing, knowledge. Number 4, resources. Connect yourself to others, to other beings. Yes, you can still do it all yourself, and at the same time attracting other people into your life that can help you is doing it yourself. And yet at the same time acknowledge their assistance, acknowledge their resources that they bring to you, or acknowledge the resources that you are able to get. Whatever the elements are that need to be brought in synchronization with you, with your vision, with your goal, the resources that will allow it to occur in physical terminology. Gather them. Meet individuals. If there is someone doing something you would love to do, go and talk to them. Find out what they're like. Find out how they did it. Doesn't mean you have to do it that way, but let them rub off on you. Start to match their vibration, the portions of their vibration that you believe represent the style you would like to do it in, the portions of their vibration that you believe represent your integrity. Many of you block yourselves from achieving abundance because you say, well, yes, I've seen many rich people, but boy, are they ever just cannot rise above the judgment. The idea, therefore, is to understand that you can be abundant in your own way. You don't have to do it the way they did it, and in fact, you cannot do it the way they did it, and no one can do it the way you will do it, because you are unique. Cherish that uniqueness, and at the same time, make the connections. Get the resources of your planet working for you, because you are very abundant. You have everything you need to achieve anything you can imagine. You only don't know that because you hesitate, because you do not think you can talk to this person or find out about that because you're a nobody. You are everybody. You are somebody. You are the one person you need to be to accomplish everything. So, you have resources as number 4. Vision, timing, knowledge, resources. And number 5, perhaps in a sense, one of the most important, and it wraps up the whole thing. Commitment. Absolute commitment. Absolute focus, absolute faith, absolute trust that the thing that excites you the most is the only choice. There is not, well, I don't know, maybe it won't work. Well, I don't know, I better play it safe. Well, I don't know. Commitment. That the process itself is important. Not just the idea of the goal. That everything you are learning gives you joy and is a portion of the overall idea. Not just a step on a long path. It is the idea itself. Commitment. Knowing that the excitement is the path to follow. Staying with it. Seeing that. Being that. Breathing that. Living it. Living your dream. Because there is no other choice for you. Because you will not have it any other way. Commitment. Being that idea to the fullest that you can be. Excel at that. Excel at that. Because you are excelling at yourself. And so, this very simple formula, 1, 3, 5. The oneness of everything that you are. The seeing, the feeling, and the being. The vision, the timing, the knowledge, the resources, and the commitment. These are the names of the tools that will create absolutely no risk and will attract to you very rapidly the things you desire to be. The things you now know you are. And I assume, though I'm not telling you what to do, you will start acting like you are. If you really want these things. If you really want to be that person. If you really want to have that life. How committed are you? Now, a lot of this dialogue has been given to you on other levels. But it is very simple. You don't have to complicate it. It is very simple. These ideas have worked for our civilization of SS Valley. We know they can basically work for your civilization. And we know that this is true because you would not have attracted us to your civilization to communicate with you otherwise if what we had to share could not be of assistance to you. Because there are no accidents. However, once again, you will use this information in your own way. And that is as it should be. Because you are your own best guides and your own best teachers. We will at this time open up to sharing, to questions if you wish. We will at this time open up to sharing, our physicality. We are forming a stronger connection to the civilization, the non-physical portion of the civilization, around the star you call Sirius. There is much more blending going on in that sense. And as there is more blending going on between our civilization and higher civilizations, for certainly we are nowhere near the top, and there really is no top, by the way. But as we join more with our higher selves now and become less and less physical, we are able to send to you more and more energy to blend your spiritual and physical realities together. And we are able to do this now with more and more civilizations as we increase in our own self-empowerment. At the same time, we have begun to understand a whole new level of tonality, of interdimensional tonality, that our civilization is now synchronizing with. In other words, there are now, from time to time, literally waves of tonality that will go around through our civilization, where you may simply find one person. This is one way this manifests, only one way. One person in one spot may start with a tone, may simply be doing something else, and the tone may not even last all that long. But then nearby, other people will pick it up, and it will spread as a wave, a circular wave around the planet, until a vast majority of the members of the civilization have actually, as you say, hummed that tone. And we are now synchronizing our consciousness into one faster and faster and faster vibration. You understand? Does this help you?
Yes, thank you.